Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where every day I try to learn more about how technology is transforming our life, work, industry, and indeed world. And today I want to learn more about understanding the power of digitising business. And by that I mean the importance of cloud migration, how the cloud can provide a competitive advantage, and why companies that have the agility of the cloud could be setting themselves up for long-term success. But I also want to explore the exciting tech scene over in Canada. And that desire led me to NextPathway, who were recently named by the Globe and Mail as Canada's hottest cloud startup company. And NextPathway automates the end-to-end challenges that their customers experience when typically migrating applications to the cloud. So the stage is set. We have so much to talk about in a short amount of time. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Toronto, Canada, so we can speak with Chayton and Clara from NextPathway. So a massive warm welcome to the show. To begin with, Chayton, can I ask that you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hi, Neil. My name is Chayton Mather, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of NextPathway. I've been a consummate entrepreneur for the last 30 years in the technology space. This is our third venture. We've had the pleasure of starting and selling two businesses. And this venture we started back in 2008 in the space of data. So we're the early adopters of technologies like Hadoop, for example. And then most recently, in the last 5 years, as the cloud became more prevalent, we migrated our technologies and created many technologies that we'll talk about today to accelerate the migration of legacy data warehouses and data lakes to the cloud.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Clara, we always also have you on the podcast today. Can I ask that you share a little bit about what you do as well?
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for your time today. I'm Clara Angotti. I'm the president and co-founder, along with Chayton, of NextPathway. And together, Chayton and I manage the business. And as he mentioned, we're focused exclusively on helping customers to automate their migration to the cloud.
Fantastic. Thank you. And NextPathway automates the end-to-end challenges that customers experience when migrating applications to the cloud. And there'll be many business leaders and decision makers that are going through that exact process right now. But can you tell me a little bit more about the kind of problems that you solve, and also what makes you different from other solutions?
As I mentioned at the outset here, we've been doing data for large global customers for many years. And we realized that with the extreme advantages of going to a cloud-based architecture, that many of our clients were stuck with legacy data warehouses, such as Teradata and Netezza. And then they built these monolithic data warehouses, or data lakes, as well. So the problem that we're solving through our automated technology shift is that we can take the code that's been there for 20, 30 years and automatically translate the dialect of that code to the modern code that is required to be running on the likes of Amazon and Snowflake, et cetera.
And many businesses will be faced with doing more with less at the moment. So can you tell me a little bit more about how they can better use the cloud to reduce those costs and increase operational efficiency? Because these seem to be big goals that so many are chasing right now.
Yeah, I think, the cloud has, provided some tremendous opportunities for customers to really, right size their operations and to be able to be more competitive. Clearly, cost savings are a driving factor to customers moving to the cloud, but also the security of the cloud has been well understood and proven. The flexibility of elastic compute is also incredibly attractive. And the ability to move, significant migrations to the cloud to bring down operational costs without sacrificing speed and security and service is an attractive proposition. But moreover, when you get to the cloud, you are able to access so much more robust data, and that seems to be, really attractive to companies that both want to service their business needs, which require an abundance amount of information for AI and analytics, but also the operational efficiencies of being able to operate that environment with less people, with higher grades of operational efficiencies around speed and security.
And we do often hear about the reduction of costs and increasing of operational efficiency. But I'm curious, can the cloud provide a competitive advantage too? And can you possibly share a few ideas on how to achieve that?
Yeah, absolutely. The competitive advantage is, as we've all heard for many years, large corporations are trying to take advantage of their data. As you know, data is the new gold, as they say. And the problem, Neil, that has happened in the last little while has been the long pole in the as it pertains to data and analytics has been compute. And compute traditionally has been very, very expensive. These massive server farms and data centers and so on that are very expensive to build. So now with data scientists, what they have is the ability to take advantage of the compute power, infinitum actually, isn't it? And storage and such at a very reduced price to be able to run these very complex AI and analytics type of algorithms. And so the competitive advantage is, in my opinion, is those who can take advantage of the cloud and its elastic compute and storage will inherently be better served and ahead of their competition.
And can I ask that you also expand on why companies that have this agility of the cloud will actually be setting themselves up for long-term success and greater resiliency too?
Yeah, absolutely. From an operational perspective, you won't need the armies of people that have been the operators of these legacy mainframes and data warehouses. And the value proposition from the hyperscalers or the cloud provider partners is that this is a relatively maintenance-free world that we're living in, because they're managing the infrastructure stack and the platform stack for us. So, there's tremendous operational advantages here as well.
In addition to operational advantages, what the cloud offers when you're able to get to a place of, standardizing data and being able to share data across organizations is you see, just a fabulous amount of, data networks popping up. And so the ability to collaborate across organizations, and you've seen that with, as a great example, is the COVID vaccine was expedited through collaboration of many different healthcare providers. But you can also understand that people may at some point want to be monetizing their data, and through the sharing of data networks, which is only achievable through the cloud. These types of things are actually, once thought of as a dream, can now be really truly realized. So it also opens up the ability to monetize aspects of people's business that were once they were unable to do so because they were locked in with these on-prem legacy systems.
And a question I'd love to ask both of you here, because we are at the time of the year where we're starting to try and determine what trends are going to dominate the future years. So the question I'd like to ask, and I'll put this to you first of all, Chayton, is what does the future of the cloud and cloud migration look like? Is there anything that catches your eye at the moment?
Yeah, I think if I just go back a couple of years, what you heard, Neil, from enterprise customers was all the questions that we're asking. And the due diligence that was being done was all around security. And, is the cloud secure, et cetera? And I think that those days have passed, and we don't need to talk about those today. I think it's very well understood that the cloud providers are spending billions of dollars to make sure that the cloud is secure. And I think they've been able to communicate that message quite fairly. Going back to last year, our observations were that now that people have gotten over the hurdle of security and want to actually start to migrate their legacy applications to the cloud, they didn't have the tooling to do it. So they tried and failed through a manual process. So, they would try to rewrite these applications manually. They're very old and very complex. And so that was the invention of our technology several years ago called Shift that would automate the migration of that. So the analogy that I like to use just for your listeners is around We all know how Google Translate works. If you can just put that picture in your head, where we type in English on the left-hand pane and we pick our target language in the right-hand pane, be it a translation to English, from English to French or Spanish, for example, and you hit a button. Well, that's exactly how our technology works. In the left-hand pane would be all of the legacy technology. You pick the new dialect that's either a Google or a Snowflake or whatever it is, and through the push of a button, our code and the code is automatically translated through our technology called Shift.
And Clara, is there anything that springs to mind for you, or anything that excites you there?
Well, I think that, in terms of just the ability to take that data and that code and those applications and start exposing it to, other similar applications, the world of digital transformation is really constantly evolving, and the access to, all the different types of applications and exposing those to, different types of individuals and combining that with other types of data. When you think about it, the potential is limitless.
Love that. And something else that I love, I was doing a little bit of research about you guys before you came on today. I read that NextPathway was named as one of Canada's hottest cloud startup companies. Can you tell me more about that and what it meant to you?
Right. We were bestowed that honor about a year ago, and it really was on the heels of Shift, because really nothing had been around in the technology community that allowed customers to simplify the migration of these legacy systems. Previously, before we launched Shift, customers were manually rewriting legacy code in order for it to be running on these modern architectures in the cloud. And even though they saw tremendous business potential of getting both the code and the data in the cloud, the business case really fell apart when they thought about having, hundreds of people rewriting code for many months and sometimes years. Well, when we launched Shift, we really struck a innovation chord that hadn't been answered in the marketplace. And truly based on that, we got recognized as being, quite interesting and answering a really big challenge in the marketplace. And so it meant a lot to us. I mean, certainly it's nice to be recognized, but certainly we got a lot of new customers as a result of that. And then we've been continuously innovating on that platform. So today, not only do we help with the migration of code, but we also created a crawling application that sits at the front of any application that's wanting to be migrated. And we crawl through all of the applications. We look at all the data lineage and all of the nuances, the parallel jobs, the sequencing of jobs, etc. And that really helps customers to not only understand the data and the code before they migrate, but plan the migration. So we truly are trying to solve end to end, and that's really great to be innovating in a space that really needs a lot of assistance.
And before we started recording the podcast today, we were talking a little bit about the tech scene in Canada, because there is this huge, vibrant tech scene over there. But for people that could be listening anywhere in the world and may not be too aware of that, is there anything you can share around that? Any kind of overview you can offer?
I think that Toronto has a bit of a perfect storm, as we call it, Neil, as it pertains to technology. There's a nice fusion between government, corporations, and higher education. So there are, 4 or 5 leading global universities, within a 50-kilometer radius of the downtown core. There's incredible incubation of the Mars facility that we talked about earlier as well. And Clara can elaborate on that as well. And so, we've seen over the last 5 years that major AI and analytic hubs have sprouted up with the likes of Google and Thomson Reuters and those type of global companies that have chosen Toronto as their technology hub, specifically focusing on AI and analytics.
Yeah, Toronto's done a great job, and I would say Canada has done a great job of creating, ecosystems where the government and private enterprise and entrepreneurs work together to bring innovation and commercialize that innovation. And so you see things where, universities, incubation labs, and the government, and then also large corporations come together to really figure out and solve big problems. And the other thing that's great about Canada is that we've got, access to phenomenal technical talent. We also have a really good immigration policy. It's not based on a lottery, but based on more about, the contribution that individual can make to our country. We've got, really good regulations around, supporting innovation, around, good green tech support, crowdfunding. All of these things work to making a really good ecosystem where it really, it generates a lot of great ideas, and then you've got the commercial ability to bring those to market.
And before I let you both go, I've got to ask, what is it that excites you about the road ahead, and what is your primary focus this year? And Chayton, I'll throw that to you first.
Yeah, what's exciting, and we conducted a recent survey of 1,000 IT executives, Neil, in December of 2020. And the data that we got back was profound. So what excites me is that we're just very early in the cloud migration journey. So somewhere around only 15 or 20% of our respondents said they've moved applications to the cloud. So there's still a long way to go before we get fully migrated to the cloud. 2025, 2026 looks like the horizon. And the other data point that's very interesting is 65% of our respondents said that they are actually increasing their spend in IT and specifically focused on cloud migrations. So I'm very excited about the next 3 or 4 years because our tooling is perfect. Our company is very well positioned and is evidenced by the interest that we've had just since the turn of the calendar for 2021. There's tremendous opportunities that we're getting from all over the world.
Yeah, I would just add on to that in respect to the survey that we just did. We asked people's opinion of what would happen by the year 2025. And there was a large portion, almost over 50%, felt that 100% of workloads would be running in the cloud. The balance thought that at least 75% of enterprise workloads would be running on the cloud. So there's no question that unanimously, IT professionals truly believe that the new foundation of which business will be run is in the cloud. And so those companies like ourselves that are positioned to assist in customers taking advantage of this new platform will do very well in the economy. So we're excited about the future for NextPathway.
Excellent. And I wish you both the best of luck on that journey. But before I do let you go, for anyone listening that would like to dive into this topic a little bit deeper, where's the best way of finding NextPathway online and also contacting your team if they've got any questions?
The best way to find us is through our website, nextpathway.com. And those that are interested can upload code and run Shift for free and get a good sense of what the capabilities of our technology can deliver for them. But there's great information on our website, including case studies, best practices, user guides. There's a plethora of information available for free for anyone who's interested in assisting, looking at the cloud migration journey.
Well, there's so many big takeaways from our conversation for me, from building that long-term success, and that it's not just about reducing costs and increasing operational efficiency, but also about providing that competitive advantage too. So many big talking points. I invite everyone listening to let me know what they thought of today's conversation. But more than anything, just a big thank you to you both for taking the time out of your day to come and share your story with me.
Thank you, Neil. It was a pleasure to speak with you and your audience today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neil.
Like I said a few moments ago, so many big talking points there, from using the cloud to reduce cost and increase operational efficiency, but leveraging solutions for end-to-end cloud migration needs, and understanding the power of digitization and understanding the power of digitizing a business, not to mention what the future of the cloud and cloud migration might look like. But more than anything, as someone that records this podcast every single day, to hear stories from all over the world. It was great hearing about the tech scene over in Canada too. And Canada is somewhere I'm desperate to fly to as soon as things get back to normal. But enough from me. I'd love to hear more from you, your thoughts on everything we talked about today, and wherever you're listening in the world. If you'd like me to help put your local area on the map and your local tech scene and how startups are working together, or anything at all, please, I'd love to hear from you. So my email address is techblogwriter@outlook.com. My website is techblogwriter.co.uk. Keep those questions, pictures, messages, whatever it is, keep them coming over and I'll get straight back to you. But a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.